You know, you trust your bank with your money. But what about your data? India just rolled out a brand new privacy law, and let me tell you, it's given your bank a massive headache. And this is a headache that directly affects the safety of your personal information. So let's dive in and unpack exactly how this new law works and what it really means for the security of your money and your identity.
So you probably think it's just, you and your bank. But the truth, it's way more complicated. The second you open an account or apply for a loan or even just call customer service, your data starts a journey that you know almost nothing about.
So get this. That's the number of different third-party companies a typical Indian bank shares your data with. Yeah, 20 to 60. We're talking about companies for KYC checks, collections agencies, marketing firms, call centers, you name it. It's this huge, sprawling, and kind of hidden network.
And this is where the headache really kicks in. A brand new law has just made your bank legally liable for whatever happens to your data, no matter how many hands it passes through. So if one of those 60 vendors has a breach, your bank is on the hook.
So what exactly is this new rulebook everyone's talking about? Well, it's called the Digital Personal Data Protection Act, or the DPDP Act for short. And while it's a huge challenge for banks, it's actually a massive step forward for your privacy.
At its heart, the DPDP Act is really designed to give you, the individual, control. It forces organizations to be totally transparent and responsible with your information, basically shifting the power dynamic right back in your favor. And now, you have the right to know exactly how your data is being used, you can fix it if it's wrong, and this is the big one, you have the right to have it deleted. This right to be forgotten, it's an absolute game changer.
Okay, so to really get a handle on the bank's challenge here, we need to step inside what I'm calling the vendor maze. It's not a straight line, folks. It's a really complex web of data sharing that's been operating without much oversight. Well, until now.
This quote from some industry analysis just hits the nail on the head. For years, data has been sent out to all these vendors with very little tracking. Now, the law demands a complete map of that journey, but for a lot of banks, that map just doesn't exist.
And this fragmentation is so key to understanding the problem. Your data isn't just sitting in one place. It's sliced up and sent out to all these specialists. One vendor for your KYC, another for collections, a third for those marketing emails. And every single one of them is a potential point of failure.
Oh, but it doesn't stop there. It gets deeper. This is something called fourth-party risk. Your KYC vendor might use another company for, say, video verification. Your collections agency might use a local subcontractor. The chain just gets longer and longer, and the bank's visibility gets weaker and weaker. And here's the bottom line under the DPDP Act. It does not matter where the breach happens. If a sub-vendor you've never even heard of gets hacked, the law says it's your bank's fault. They are ultimately responsible for that entire chain. Period.
So what's the immediate fallout from all this? A mountain of legal paperwork. Banks now have to go back and rewrite every single vendor contract to include these strict new clauses on data deletion, retention limits, and mandatory breach notifications.
But hey, this isn't just a legal problem. It's a massive technical one. These new privacy rules are in a direct tug of war with the decades-old technology that, let's be honest, most banks are still running on.
Think about it. Old systems were built to hoard data, collect everything and just keep it forever. The DPDP Act demands the exact opposite. Collect only what you absolutely need, use it only for its stated purpose, and then delete it when you're done. These two philosophies are just fundamentally incompatible. It's forcing a complete rethink of their data architecture.
Okay, so let's play this out. Imagine you decide you want your data erased, and you tell your bank. Sounds simple enough, right? But behind the scenes, that one single request triggers an absolute operational nightmare.
It's a total domino effect. Your data isn't in one place. It's copied across dozens of internal systems, the core banking platform, the CRM, analytics tools, not to mention all those third-party vendors and all of their backups. Deleting it from one place isn't enough. It has to be verifiably wiped from everywhere.
And this even affects the future of banking. Banks have these huge pools of historical data they're dying to use to train AI for things like fraud detection. But the new principle of purpose limitation means they can't just reuse your old data for some new purpose without asking you first.
So, after all that, why should you even care about your bank's legal and technical problems? Well, because their headache is directly connected to the safety and security of your most sensitive information.
That's the maximum penalty per violation. This is not a small slap on the wrist. The financial stakes here are enormous, which frankly forces banks to take this seriously. A failure to protect your data could have crippling consequences for them. And this is the likely deadline banks will have to report a data breach once the rules are finalized. Just 3 days. Can you imagine trying to figure out what happened in that complex maze of 60 vendors and their sub-vendors in that time frame? The pressure is just immense.
And these risks aren't just theoretical. Think about the high-risk areas. Call centers with really high staff turnover have direct access to your personal information. Collections agencies are handling deeply sensitive financial details. Fintech partners are using new complex data sharing methods. These are all hotspots where your data is most vulnerable.
So, at the end of the day, the DPDP Act is a fantastic new shield for your privacy. But that shield is only as strong as your bank's ability to navigate this incredibly complex vendor maze and modernize its technology. Their problem is your protection. This whole shift really forces us to ask a simple but really powerful question. With all these new rules, these new rights, and these massive new responsibilities, is your bank truly ready to protect your data?